Samurai Jack Season 5, Episode 495. Before I get into the review, I have to mention why this review is actually super freaking late, and it's actually because of the April Fool's Day thing. So of course with April Fool's the weekend before last, of course it was Rick and Morty, so it didn't end up recording, but because it recorded the Rick and Morty episode under the Samurai Jack title, it didn't record it when it actually came on because it was like, oh, well, I already recorded this episode, so it's a rerun. So, of course, it didn't record on the DVR, and I had to wait until today to see it because when I went online to watch it, it kept freaking replaying a commercial. It was almost like I was being fooled again. Like, I went to the actual episode, did all the, info and everything, and like 15-second commercials every time I press play or refresh it. It was just a 15-second commercial and the episode would never start. So I was like, well, I guess I'm waiting until Wednesday. So that's why this review is actually so late. But it was a fun episode. Very simplistic. Of course, we get to see Jack and Ashi together. We don't see the other sister. I mentioned that in my last review. It's possible that at least two of the sisters were alive. It was Ashi and the sister that was punched because she was just punched in the face and she fell while the other girl was like stabbed through. So it was like, okay, odds are she's dead, but at least Ashi and one of her sisters could potentially be alive. And of course Jack survives. Naturally, Ashi ends up surviving, so they don't show her sister. It is still possible that that could be something they save for, closer to the end of the series. But as of now, it seems like she's dead and Ashi is the last of, her siblings. So the two of them are together, and Ashi decides, she's going to continue her job. She's going to take out Jack. And it was pretty cool. It was a very minute, fight scene in the beginning. Jack is dealing with himself, like the birds and everything, and that's when they, that happens right before he gets into the fight because we realized that the blood and stuff that was on the ground wasn't actually her own. And that was another thing that made me wonder, maybe one of her sisters is alive, like maybe the sister that fell off beforehand, she collapsed or something, but she just got up and took off because she was too injured to keep going. So, because, Ashi wasn't, like, injured or anything in the whole episode, so I'm like, where did that, trail of blood come from? I assume it has to be, one of the other sisters. It could have been, I would assume the sister that was ran through. But like I said, we also didn't see the sister that got punched in the face and passed out. So, we see, like, the crows and stuff call, Jack a murderer and stuff like that, and the killer. So he's going through his mental thing again, and that's when they get into the fight sequence. He does like some cool whip maneuvers with the chain, and then it's like, boom, she's wrapped up. And then they go kind of like full Star Wars with it, where just a monster comes out of the ground and just swallows them both up. And I was like, okay, that's not how I thought that was going to play out. Like, I knew they were inside some sort of creature, but I was very surprised. It was just like, and especially the way the episode ends, like this thing apparently can just tunnel through the ground and it can just survive in the water and survive under dirt, because I'm assuming they were still on the land because it comes up out of the ground. So I was like, okay, that was a very interesting creature that can survive both under dirt and gravel, and it can go out to the sea, like a whale. So I thought that was interesting. But it jumps up, captures them both, and then Jack and Ashi end up having to survive together. And it's more Jack saving her life and her trying to kill him the whole way through. She's wrapped up the whole episode, and like he even puts her on his back. And, we have him fighting the bugs and stuff, which is really cool because this is the closest we've really come to him having like a katana again, because it was like a long, sharp blade. And also it was like a curved blade, but the way he was going about, I was like, that's cool. It's kind of like he's got his, katana back, and he's in full samurai mode, chopping up these bugs. And it looks sweet, like especially after he killed like the first one, and he does like the pose, and it's just like all the blue, I will just say blue blood on his face. I was like, that's a really cool image. So he's taking all of these creatures. Ashi's trying to headbutt him because that's how crazy indoctrinated she is. She's trying to headbutt him. He was getting pissed off. Like, it would have been so funny if he just screamed like, bitch, would you stop? Because that's so, like when he freaked out after she hit him and he killed one of the bugs, he just screamed out loud. And I thought that was so freaking funny. I was like, he just really wants to swear. But it was definitely a cool moment. And then he turned around and she just got punched straight in the face by a bug and got knocked out. So gets rid of the bugs, and they kind of just dropping through these levels, all of which are very cool. So it starts off simple where they're on like, it seemed like they were on the taste buds almost of this creature, but I don't believe it was the taste buds. It was somewhere in the stomach. So that's where they started. They're fighting the creatures. Then they go down a level. He starts talking to himself again, and she ends up being taken by this random creature. And they're almost in like a little crystal area. Everything's sharp and it looks like crystals, but they aren't. So after that, he beats up the creature, ends up rescuing her. And I believe after that is when they get to the weird location that had like the needle rain. I thought that was actually a really cool part. Like, it was so simple, but I was like, man, something about that. I love the sound effect they used. It was a very interesting sound effect of like needles kind of hitting the ground. But I liked that. I was like, he was like, is it rain? And then it was like, ow, and it's, like all these little needle. I don't even know how I could, say what that actually is, but it was like, some sort of needles made by this creature's internal system. So of course they end up running into basically a cave within this creature's body. It was very interesting because it's like they're in a mountain, like basically like crazy types of mountains and stuff, but it's all inside this creature. So I love the way it all played out, where they had, like I said, rain that they had to escape. They find a cave, and he's just plucking the needles off, and they just have the scene where he's trying to talk to her, and he's just plugging it off, and then it goes to her, and then back to him. He's like, some people would pay for this. It's called acupuncture. And he's trying to make it work with her, and it's just not, because she's so indoctrinated. And it just keeps going, and then eventually they get to the vat of acid after like doing the big mountain climb, and that's where we get like this completely dark area, and it's almost like deep sea stuff, where it's just random creatures with luminescence, and they're just floating around. And then we see like this giant hole open up, and it's the blowhole. And it was very interesting because it was like right after he said it. The specific dialogue is what made it funny, because he was like, even in the deepest bowels and stuff like that, or deepest depths, and then the hole opens up, and I was like, well, when you put that dialogue with a hole opening up, it makes it more like an anus than it does a blowhole. But I was like, I'm guessing it's a blowhole because it's going up. But they're going through, and of course he's jumping on the different creatures. He ends up falling off of the first one, and naturally he grabs like this purple thing, which apparently had like super speed, because the weird skeleton fish dragon thing started chasing it, and it's almost turned into like purple lightning, and it was just zipping around. So it was a cool little sequence, and he's freaking out that he jumps on like the jellyfish thing, and they start to disappear as they get closer to the sky, because they aren't really supposed to live outside of this giant creature. And at the last second, he's able to jump straight up. The thing explodes underneath them both, and the crazy dragon thing misses. They get out of the blowhole, and they land on like this random island. And that's kind of where the episode ends, but we do have a really good moment with Ashi, where she sees the ladybug, and she has a flashback to when she's training with her sister. And she sees the bug, she gets distracted, and naturally her mother comes along, and it's like, all these distractions, and these are not the will of Haku, or these aren't a part of the order, or something like that. And she just crushes the ladybug in her hand. So of course Ashi sees Jack, put his hand out, and this ladybug lands on it. And he kind of sees it, and he just goes, boom. And he just lets it go, because that's Jack. He doesn't really kill things outside of, the past two episodes where he was kind of thrown into it unwillingly. But I like the way they ended that. And it does make me curious how this is really going to affect things. Like, is she going to be curious? Is she going to actually talk to him? Or is she going to... I mean, at this point, I would assume she's at least going to stick around with him, and he can protect her because of the way the episode ended. But it does make me wonder, like, how much closer will they really get as things continue on? And if her sister is alive, I think that's a great way to do that, because if you have just one sister left, or two sisters including Ashi, you have her spending all this time with Jack until, one of the last couple of episodes, and then we find out that one of her sisters is still alive, and it's like, what are you doing? You've been spending all this time with the samurai, and she tries to convince her sister. Maybe they both end up killing each other, something crazy like that. But I feel like that might be where we're headed. And either way, even if they don't end up doing that, I am curious to see what happens in this next episode for sure, because we're going to have Ashi, so different from what she was raised to be, now that she realizes Jack is actually a decent human being and that he's been telling the truth. She might not believe that wholeheartedly just yet, but a whole way through he's like, look, you've been lied to. Aku is the evil, not me. So, I'm very excited to see how they kind of tackle this issue where Jack kind of has to help this girl, and I would assume that she's going to be with him throughout the rest of the season until either she dies or she just decides to go off on her own, which I would think it's more likely that she would unfortunately end up being killed. But we'll see how it plays out, but I certainly enjoyed this episode. Very excited for the next one. It seems like I'm assuming Jack will be in it, especially with this being the final season and we only get 10 episodes. I'm pretty sure Jack will have a side story at least. But the promo focuses on Aku actually being attacked, and I'm excited to see that. Like, he goes out and it starts off with him as just a giant black ball crushing people. And I'm looking forward to that. I want to see Aku go full evil, because the last time we saw him, he's just like, man, I'm super bored, there's nothing to do. He's kind of freaking out because of Jack, but he doesn't know that Jack actually isn't a problem for him, so he's acting like he doesn't care, but he's definitely scared. So I want to see him kind of in evil spirits, I guess, and just go out on a rampage and attack these people coming at them. So looking forward to that. We also get the Scotsman back. I don't remember the Scotsman's name, if he was ever given an official name, but we see the older version of him. So he's in like a chair with a Gatling gun and stuff. So I'm looking forward to how that plays out, and I'm curious because I assumed with him coming back into it, it was going to be like him and Jack in a fight because they knew each other in the original series. So it seems like that won't be the case, and especially where, well, actually I don't know, we don't know where Jack is as far as like the world and stuff, so he could actually be super close to Aku's lair and everything, but I doubt they'll end up meeting in this next episode, but I'm still looking forward to it. And like I said, I assume that with Jack being the main character, plus us only having 10 episodes in the final season, we will still see a side story with Jack and Ashi and how they get off this island and how they end up bonding. And then the other half will be Aku on a crazy rampage as kind of rebels end up attacking him. So looking forward to that. But of course, I would love to know what you guys thought about this episode. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts, and I would love to know where you think the relationship is headed between Ashi and Jack. Do you think that they will ultimately become allies by the end of the series? Do you think that she'll still be too distant to ever fully trust him? Do you think that she'll end up finding her, sister if there is another one of her sisters alive? We'd love to know your theories on how you guys think that that's going to play out now that we've gotten the ending to this episode. And of course, I want to know what you guys thought about the episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.